October the 17th, 1998, in Ottawa.
You'll have to bear with me. Every 45 minutes I will be diving for the tape machine so we can record it in posterity. First of all, welcome. Many thanks for coming this evening. This is a very momentous day in the history of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society because it's the official opening of the new archives. We want you to enjoy this evening. Bear with us as we proceed with our honor program. You must listen very carefully because if your name is mentioned, and a lot of names will be mentioned, you're going to be asked at the end of the meeting to go to the gymnasium on the lower floor where a group picture will be taken of all those who have been honored or named this evening to be frozen in posterity for the official opening of the archives. Thank you. A lot of you have been badgered, mainly by myself and others, in raising funds for the capital campaign. I want to announce, and there have been some new donations that have come in since this figure has been given. I noted it this afternoon. We've raised $150,361. Thank you. It's the first portion of the campaign. Our budget was for 150. We've raised it. We still have a 40,000 to go on the second portion of the campaign, which I thought would be a book in the history of the Ottawa Jewish community since its inception. It would be very costly to run, so we'll run another $40,000 campaign in the spring for those who haven't given. It's difficult to single out any individual names who have given, and a lot of people have given very generously. But I do want to name two families who have given very generously, and I say to you, a lot of you have emptied out your piggy banks or your spare cash because this has been a difficult year in the community, the last couple of years, because Stephen Greenberg, Roger Greenberg and Stephen Victor have come around and emptied your pockets already for the capital campaign. But I do want to thank Sorrel Gortzman on behalf of her late parents, Laura and Harold Rubin, who donated $25,000. Sorrel is here somewhere this evening, and she will be honored shortly later on. And I also want to thank the Mary and Roger Greenberg family, who collectively have given $9,220 to the campaign. Now, these are the two major donors, and I say to you that there are some other very magnificent gifts, and it would be unfair to me to name people because those who gave $500 deem it very significant in their realm, and you just can't name everybody. So I do want to thank those families specifically. As I stated, the campaign will continue for another $40,000 in the spring. We will proceed immediately, though, to canvass in the electronic community, outside of the Jewish community, across Canada, etc. Your speakers for 1999 series, this is the last meeting in 1998-99, haven't been determined yet. Normally in October we announce some of our May-June speakers. Because your directors have been very busy, we have not selected the speakers yet, although some families and others have been contacted. The last 2 years have been very trying for your board of directors, and your board of directors have worked extremely long hours and dedicated time, and tonight I want to thank them as individuals on behalf of all those present in the society. And I'll list them in alphabetical order. Please, no applause, they work unrecognized. Hai Kaloff, Sam Edelson, Elliot Gluck, Mel Al Goldberg, Marcus Hawks, Maury Connick, Stuart Lazier, Ron Levitin, Ethel Malik, Rhoda Prager, Albert Rivers, Gedalia Rosenfeld, Thelma Steinman. Those are the directors. I also want to remind you that your dues are still open. Those who haven't paid, there's a person outside the door who will take your funds for your dues. And also, although there's no canvassing tonight, anyone that has feel conscious and wants to pledge, we'll still take your money tonight. But we will not go after you by your coattails. At the end of the evening, your speakers, you are free to visit the archives, which is just down the hall and to your left, the first door. Please, no food or beverages are to be taken into the combined library and archives, and I would appreciate that you respect this. There is going to be an electronic display set up in part of the library, which is the 1997 bulletin on CD-ROM, which part of the goal of the campaign is to do all the bulletins since their inception, and we've got all the papers since 1972. That's the Ottawa Jewish Bulletin. But we have the year 1997. You can call up on title, and it's available for your view. It's just a sample of what we're proceeding to do, and this is being displayed by Fred Granger of Memory Management. Maury Connick will say a few words later on in the program. There's a pictorial display behind you. You're free to look at it at the end of the evening, and they are on both sides of the boards. I want to thank Elaine Brodsky. And Elaine, wherever you are, I am parched. I just come back from the Negev Desert or the Sinai, and I'm feeling quite dry at the present time. I appreciate a jug of water. But I want to thank Elaine Brodsky and Don Logan, who are part-time full-time with the archives for their dedicated work. I also want to thank volunteers during the campaign, Martin Ginsberg, Sylvia Pasher, and Fred Gaffin, who helped out immensely. Now, you've noticed I've named some names. Only naming them once, you're to go where you're instructed. I'm going to now tell a short story. The story has to do with the history of what transpired. In 1992, when I assumed presidency, one of the things I noted that there was great deficit owed on behalf of the society to the VOD with regards to rent. And this started to grow in 1993, and we had a series of meetings, and no names will be mentioned during this short story because the recipients or the people who participated in this story some of them are going to be honored. In any case, myself along with some others negotiated with the then president and VOD administrator with regards to our deficit liability to the VOD. 1994, we were asked to prepare a brief to the VOD because the only way we could be taken out of our dilemma was to go out and raise funds. So during the summer of 94, members of your board met and we prepared a presentation to the board which was to improve the archival service, basically with a location, increase the staff, and prepare for technology into the 21st century to put the archives in line with other archival organizations. We're going to do this through genealogy service, history of the Ottawa Jewish community, speakers series, and papers by undergraduates in the various Jewish schools who would prepare papers, and we would publish them on Ottawa Jewish Scene. We went to an October meeting with the VOD, and we were advised that for the present time, other things were more necessary in the community, and we were stopped. 1995, a new president of the VOD took over, and through his wisdom, commissioned a report which was tabled in 1997, spring of 97. This report was the foundation of where we are today. Your board met during the summer of 1997 and presented various papers to the VOD, which sprung to various conclusions included in the spring of June of 1998, this is this year, where we were approved to proceed on with the campaign. The finalization of some of these documents are still being into the final stretches with the VOD, which are taking place presently. That is the background of the story of which you're going to hear this evening. We're trying to keep the time short this evening, and I've got a stopwatch in front of me, and I'm already at 11 and a half minutes, and this is disastrous because it'll be a long evening, and this is what we're trying to avoid. Your master of ceremonies tonight is Gedalia Rosenfeld. I'm the president, and I will sit down shortly, and you'll be very happy. You've listened to me for about 6 years. Gedalia and I met about 6 years ago at a Royal Society meeting, and I asked him to join the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society. We were a winner because we got 2 for the price of 1, he and his good wife Florence. OJH became more active and dynamic and reorganized with his guidance and wisdom. He delivered a most interesting talk in Florida in 1995 in the Jews of Canada and repeated it in Ottawa. He soon became vice president. He prepared short and long-term objectives of society, helped tremendously to where we are today, has been a very key player on our team. He is a very emotional individual, and so am I, and we sometimes clash. I must say, he's my mentor, he's my guru. But I don't always listen to him, but it's good, it's a test. When I asked him for his notes tonight, he said, go to the archives. He and Florence established an endowment fund with the Ottawa Jewish Community Foundation. I am going to cut short his introduction, but he was instrumental. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we'll publish this some way. It'll be published in our newsletter. We'll make sure, with the wisdom of the Ottawa Jewish Bulletin, to get it in more detail. But he was instrumental in finding the site for the VOD and those who purchased this site for the Ottawa Talmud Torah. There's a story that has been only told in short term. Long term, we don't have time this evening, but this gentleman was instrumental in finding the campus where you sit tonight. Born in Montreal, he came to Ottawa in 1945. He spent his time at the Tel Aviv Tennis Club, Connaught Restaurant, and appreciated the smoked meat at the Capitol House Hotel. Was interested in the Jewish-owned Eastview bus lines. He graduated from Sir George William College, and he received his postgraduate work from the University of Montreal in Industrial Relations. He was part of the Quebec Quiet Revolution. He walked, he talked, and he debated with the then Bloc Populaire leaders such as Drapeau, Larendeau, and Claude Ryan. He came to Ottawa with the Wartime Prices and Trade Board, made many friends that he still holds today. His 2-year stint made an impression, and he dreamed of coming back. 36 years ago, Gedalia and Florence, with their twin daughters, returned to Ottawa from Winnipeg, where Gedalia was administrator of the Victoria General Hospital, president of the Manitoba Hospital Association, vice president of the Knoll School for Boys, and a board member of Campanay Brith. In Ottawa, both Gedalia and Florence became senior officers in the public service. Gedalia, Director General of the Department of Health, Florence, Editor of the Federal Court of Reports, and Secretary of the Statute Revision Committee. Gedalia represented Canada as delegate to the World Health Organization, Organization for Economical Development, and conferences in the State of Israel. He consulted with 5 governments in their health systems. He was in the White House with White House staff members discussing health care when President Jim Carter was presiding at the Camp David Accord and was there when we received the information as to their success, and he was one of the first to know. Gedalia has been active in other Jewish local organizations, Vice President of Hillel Lodge, Israel Bonds, Magen David of Canada, Reederville Golf Club, where he attempts to play golf, and co-chairman of the Public Service UJA. Our chairman tonight, because of him, we would not be here tonight. His recognition of our needs, he helped to achieve our goals. He became a member of our board, and ladies and gentlemen, I give you now our chairman of this evening, Gedalia Rosenfeld.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you very much, Lawrence. It's a good thing that I see my wife and daughter here, or else I thought he gave a hesped tonight, according to the story. It's interesting to hear your past come in front of you once in a while, and I think the archives are working because I shouldn't have told them that in the first place, Lawrence. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. This is an evening of celebration. We're here to celebrate. And there are three distinct areas I think we're going to celebrate tonight. One is an evening to thank the community for the building of this particular building, the Joseph and Rose Aegis Family Building. This is an accomplishment that the community must be very proud of, and its leaders, we owe them a vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, to them, we say thank you. I think this is the first official, formal, large meeting here by an agency or an outside group to the area. Secondly, this is an evening to honor Shirley Berman. Shirley, we are honoring Shirley Berman for an outstanding contribution to the community, and we will have much, much more to say about this later on in the evening. And third, but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this is the official opening of the Ottawa Jewish Archives. And I think that is a milestone in the development of institutional life in the city of Ottawa. We will be honoring many people tonight, and this meeting is planned to finish in 1 hour and 15 minutes from this moment on. I was going to say from the start, but after Lawrence started, it's 1 hour and 15 minutes. There will be a seventh inning stretch somewhere in here, and we're going to tell everybody that they got to be fastball pitchers tonight and no slow ball pitching. Ladies and gentlemen, during the night, you will obtain a glimpse of a process. You will hear stories through introduction.
The CCCS had as its objective the concentration of missionary work to settlers in the British Empire. Okay? And this fits in chapter and verse, if you will, with the thesis and theme of that period of time and the responsibility as the church understood its mission at that period of time. It was most, for me, exciting to hear.
Thank you. And yes.
I just want to know who would have done the translations into Yiddish and Hebrew of the gospel into
They've done it quite 400 years ago.
Yeah, they would have been done in England, I should have thought. I don't think
They
anybody...
were originally translated almost in Poland, originally.
Oh, were they?
Into Yiddish. They were translated originally into Poland, in Poland, and in certain parts of Russia, and then in England, because remember, Jews came into England much later in the picture in larger numbers, okay, of that period of time. The original, I think, they come in a circle, if you will. Okay, originally, some of the original translations that I have heard about, read about, were done in Poland.
Creates displays and gives the basis for lectures that have been going on in this community. And we are also recording the history of individual families in the city of Ottawa. We have those on tape, and we're very proud. Now, archives is just a name, but in reality, it is the basis of our environment and activities. It says what our successes and failures were in a descriptive form. It ranges from individuals to families to institutions to organizations to synagogues, to activities, to successes and failures. It reports and records all these items in the archives. We have succeeded in creating in Ottawa what we have come to think and are trying to achieve, and you'll hear this again during the night, the best regional ethnic archives in Canada. That is our goal, that is our objective, and we're in a long way there. None of this would have been possible, ladies and gentlemen, without one person. That person has made a major contribution to all of these things that we have and to the success of today. That person is Shirley Berman. As I said, we will be speaking a little later about Shirley Berman. Ladies and gentlemen, our president gave you a short summary of what transpired about difficulties and about agencies and inferred that he's not going to name names. But in reality, the archives names names. And so I am going to name names. And during the evening, there will be about 20 or 24 names named. And I think that we can do it, and do it quickly, and we have one more hour to do it in. The first person I want to mention is Dr. Delansky. As our president said, some 5 years ago, the board of the OJHS appealed before the VOD and said that we needed a large sum of money. Perhaps we were grandiose in our ideas, perhaps we were dreamers, but we felt that we needed a large sum of money. We appeared before the VOD, and Dr. Delansky said no. Here we were seeing a need, wanting to fulfill it, and the VOD said no. And Dr. Delansky said no. Dr. Delansky at that moment spoke of the greater unknown needs of the community, having in mind the development of the campus. And he did not know what the costs of that were going to be. And his determination with the VOD at that time was that the creation of the campus and the agencies which would be housed in the campus was more important than the immediate needs of the archives. Discussion involved as well who was to administer the archives, whose name was to control the archives. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there was an impasse. There was difficulties. But, ladies and gentlemen, from that impasse, much discussion took place. Ideas were planted, seeds were watered, and over time, tonight it developed. From that period of no, we have tonight's success. It was a 4-year step, but we have done it. From a position of strong opposites, we have created, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best regional ethnic archives in Canada. For his dedication and leadership in starting a new direction for the archives, for starting the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society on a little different path to success, we honor him. He's not here now, he will be later on, and I have a certificate of honor for him. The next person we met in this ever-stepping stone to the future was Lawrence Greenberg. Lawrence Greenberg was a chairman on a hot seat. The problem was put in his lap. The demanding board of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society and the VOD was now planning to commit funds to a specific campus and specific buildings, and these were massive funds. Facts concerning the archives were to be found in history. They were buried in papers. But, ladies and gentlemen, emotions were strong and the debate was strenuous. In this environment, Lawrence Greenberg thrived. He reviewed the situation and he said only one thing: halt. He stopped the debate, commissioned a study, which was to be known as the Rodal Report, and his steady leadership and direction at that point of time started the first steps really in study and cooperation. For his ability to recognize his studied approach to the problem, we say thank you. His part in the development of the future is the basis for today's archives. A wrong turn at that moment would have aborted the whole process. And Lawrence Greenberg made the right decision at the right time, and to him we start the first real climbing of steps forward. Is Lawrence here now? Come on up. No. I know you too well to hand you flowers. Come with me over here. Up. Those aren't for you.
You're going to lose everything.
Yeah, put them over here. Lawrence, come on up and grab the other side.
Gonna hold me up?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Early in 1996, we were advised by Lawrence, the president of the VOD, they had asked Alti Rodell to review and assess, and here I'm going to quote, the status and future of the archives of the Ottawa Jewish community. We knew Alti Rodell as a professional. She was principal consultant in consulting and audit for the Government of Canada. We also knew her as an expert researcher in the area of major concern to the Jewish communities across Canada. She was an excellent researcher and an expert in organizational processes and a dedicated member of the Jewish community. Mrs. Rodell was given 2 pages of concern to analyze and make recommendations. Sometimes later, a report was given to the VOD and to the OJHS. This report, ladies and gentlemen, for somebody else who was in the field of consulting and audit, I have to tell you, creates a new standard of excellence for reports to any community and any organization. The VOD and the OJHS did not agree on the recommendations in the Rodell report. Let me be honest about it. But we no longer, each of us, could maintain our tunnel vision. Our vision was broadened, our scope was broadened, and different areas were brought together so that we could converge on ideas. We at the OJHS would have gladly accepted parts of it, and I imagine the VOD would gladly have accepted other parts of it. Let me say, in summary, there were a number of areas which she did enunciate. 1, increased financial support for the archives. Greater community involvement through the VOD and the OJHS. The need for more archival space of an improved nature, and cooperation between the VOD and the OJHS. This cooperation of the VOD and the OJHS has led to a new concordat between the OJHS and the VOD and a new establishment of, we hope in the near future, of an archival committee which will report to the VOD, but will have members from the OJHS and the VOD. So we're going to operate in a team effect for a period, but eventually it'll be a function of the VOD. I have to read, ladies and gentlemen, if you will, 2 paragraphs from this report, because I think they are significant paragraphs and really put the basis for where we are tonight. Let me say, and I quote, archives are an essential component of communal identity and continuity. The importance a community attaches to its historical archives is a mark of its maturity, its capacity to appreciate its roots and past achievements, to value and respect the personalities who contributed to its development, and to communicate and transmit the sense and purpose and dimensions of a community to future generations. That has become our ethos, if you will. However, she says as well, for almost 30 years, the archives of the Ottawa Jewish community had functioned on a modest scale with the support from the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society and the VOD here. But she says the primary focus of the report is on the need to clarify relationships, roles, and responsibilities amongst the various parties involved, Ladies and gentlemen, that period of negotiation is over. That period is now starting to render fruitful results. That cooperation which has evolved as a result of this and the setting of our goals and targets has been tremendously important, and we have successfully moved to where we are today. Ladies and gentlemen, if Alfie was here tonight, I would ask you all to stand and thank her for her work. We have the flowers for her, we have a certificate for her, but she's in Montreal at another celebration, a wedding. And I don't know, we tried to postpone the wedding, but it didn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, I turned over there because I did not expect to have this tape recorder over here in front of me. And Lawrence, you better check how much time is left on the tape recorder. The city of Ottawa, and in particular the Jewish community, has had leadership over a period of time which has helped to create a dynamic, thriving Jewish community that is recognized throughout all of Canada and North America as one of the best organized, best supported for population communities that we have in Canada. Our leadership over the years, stemming from almost 100 years, has created a base which permits us to see modern improvements almost on a continuing basis and being able to meet the needs of our community as our community's needs change, as resources required to meet these changes are developed. We start to have them, and we should be very, very thankful. Barbara Farber is a star amongst these leaders. Others have reported on her dynamism, her untiring efforts, her ability to lead a team and develop a support system for that team and future leaders at the same time. The physical changes during her tenure of office are visible today. And these are important because they inherently include steps and stages for the future. But perhaps what is not so well known is her ability to solve problems, attack the crisis, and develop a set of priorities which creates a basis for the future that will be more secure. Every decision that I have worked to achieve or heard that she has achieved solves today's need but builds for tomorrow. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, to me is the real true leadership of a president, a chairman, and everyone else in that area. We at the OJHS have presented ideas, negotiated goals and targets, but throughout this arduous process, Barbara has succeeded when there have been hurdles, stalemates. She would listen and, using her acumen and knowledge of the community, pick those things from two opposite teams and permit them to meld and say, okay, I think this is an avenue through which we can succeed and meet the needs of the community. And this has led to solutions. In reality, our debates have been heavy and hard and serious in the last 2 years. And without Barbara Farber as chairman of, and president, if you will, chairman of the Ottawa Jewish community, to negotiate and help lead us through some of these stalemates, we would not be here. Barbara, would you please come forward and let us honor you? Hi, Barbara.
I want to know if my father wrote that for you.
No, I didn't even discuss it with him on the golf course. How do you like that? We've got to come over here.
I sure hope the tape recorder didn't run out. I'd like to play
Hey,
it
Lawrence?
back.
She's running for election. Barbara, thank you. This process, and you're starting to understand the personalities and the arguments, I hope, and the decisions which were made as we move through this period of time that Lawrence was talking about. in there. Ladies and gentlemen, what does one bureaucrat say to another bureaucrat? Mitchell Bellman. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to thank Mitchell Bellman for many things. Mitchell Bellman is an individual and an administrator and an executive who strives for excellence. This desire to achieve what is best for the community we recognized early in our debates. When one organization goes through a major transformation, it is recognized that in the process there are bound to be bruises and disappointments. But when it is all over, one must forget the bruises, one must forget the disappointments, and plan for a successful future. That is a quote from Mitchell Bellman. Throughout our times of discussion, he kept his cool. And the success in developing a new organizational pattern for the Ottawa Jewish Archives is, to a large extent, a result of his expertise and knowledge of how the community should or can operate. And there's a distinction between should and can. We don't always agree, but we have understood that we must work with each other with a smile, shake hands, and move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask Mitch Bellman to come forward. And I think he deserves a major round of applause. Mitch, I have one statement to make to you, and I might as well finish what I have written, if I may. To you, who often was on the front line and had to face some people with bitter disappointments, we salute you. We recognize not only your abilities, but your dedication, and we say, I should call you up. Thank you. Oh, I never thought I'd see that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost within my target. My first portion of this evening, I think, brings us up to a new era and a new position, and Lawrence is going to talk about that. All I can say that working with Lawrence has been hard.
This is going to be long.
I'm going to say more. He doesn't know it, but I'll have more to say about Lawrence. But just let me say this. Working with an individual who is hard to work with can create one of two alternatives: utter disgust and failure, or excellence and a drive to succeed. With Lawrence, it was excellence and a drive to succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, our president, Lawrence Freedman.
He asked me if he was on schedule. We're 40 minutes and 23 seconds into the evening. Is Laurie Greenberg here tonight? Is Roger, is any one of the... Well, if Laurie's not here, is Robert here? Well, Lawrence, you're going to have to stand in. My individual honor certificates will be short. I want to thank the Greenberg family, especially the Greenberg family and the Freedman family go back a long distance, basically through my late brother earlier. But I want to thank the support of the Mary and Roger Greenberg family.
Rose and Roger Greenberg.
Sorry, Rose and Roger Greenberg.
Those are my grandparents.
That's who I want.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Rose and Roger Greenberg family and their support through the various branches in our campaign.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Here,
I'm
another
sorry.
picture.
Yeah.
Stand on the line. Don't forget. 44 minutes.
Is Louise Roy Brochu here this evening? City of Ottawa. She's not here, and I just want to make a special mention. Louise served as counsel and gave us invaluable advice with regards to the planning of our new archives. Stephen Greenberg here this evening. Well, if Stephen isn't here, and neither is Dr. Delansky, there was an honor certificate. Is Stephen here? Oh, come on up, Stephen. Stephen, you broke the impasse in the planning of the archives. We hit a roadblock in March 1997, and through your other right-hand person, Margie Carter, who were able to meet with you and a committee of few of us in your office and remove the roadblocks in the planning to where the archives are today, and I wish to thank you on behalf of the CDC. You notice I don't take as long as my good compatriot, but that's why we're Mutt and Jeff at times. Stephen Victor, I know he's here. Stephen, will you come forward? Stephen, both you and Roger served on the Capital Campaign as co-chairmans. You were the assistant chairman. You served as president of the community. And to you, through the fundraising, we wouldn't be here today unless you raised the funds, and which we are most appreciative. The physical facilities that we have primarily are the responsibility of your team. Thank you very much.
I would have preferred Gedalia to introduce me. It would have been a little longer.
Those are the luck of the draw, Stephen. Elliot Gluck, I know you're here. You're somewhere over here. Would Elliot come forward? Elliot, you know the circumstances of what happens at 45 minutes into the speech, so the tape stops and I may have to adjust it. So if it starts to click, 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 you know that I will stop. But it's just about now. I see. Okay, Elliot was instrumental in the major changes to the archive structure. Without his dedicated services, thoroughness, and most responsibility that he took with regards to his job, we wouldn't be, let's say what we have today wouldn't have been accomplished without his help. And for this, we thank you very much. I would like to have two roses come forward. Is Margie Cardish here this evening? Well, I know Wendy Brawley is. I saw Wendy when she walked in. Where's Wendy? Well, I have a background in construction in my earlier years, but Wendy was the lead architect on the project for Hoban and Associates. And Wendy is responsible for not only the planning, but the delivering of this structure on time, in record time. Both she and Margie, who represented the BOD, and herself spent 2 grueling years, I'd say 1+ years, in delivering this structure. Now, Wendy paid a very high compliment to me. Now I'm talking, but the tape is still running. She stated that the best planners of the occupants of the buildings were the rabbis, because they meticulously addressed the description of the job for the mikveh. And she was very highly impressed, and now she feels that she is an expert in mikveh design. And that is going on her certificate, and she will practice this in North America. But she said, we were only second best in our planning because the rabbis were the best. So being second to a rabbi is a very high honor to me. But also, she told me there are only 2 change orders on this job, which I don't believe today, but I can't doubt her word. But to Wendy for putting up, once I got to know her, with my little telephone calls to make sure that the details were correct, which we thank greatly. Also, her co-compatriot, Margie, was just an invaluable assistance from the spring, or let's say late winter, of 1997, when Margie stepped into the breach, carried us forward to Stephen Greenberg's office, and worked with me through the fall, winter, and spring of this year for the facility we have today. So on behalf of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society, we want to thank you, Wendy, for the hard work. Still working, 49 minutes. I want to just mention some names. They're not coming forward, but they helped tremendously with me, or for me, in arriving through the campaign of this evening. The Ottawa Jewish Bulletin, Alice Baker, Myra Aronson, and Kayla Malay. Kayla is with the endowment, yes. Also Kelly Green and Jean Myers of Mitch Bellman's staff, and of course our own Don Logan and Elaine Brodsky. I now turn the meeting back to Gedalia Rosenfeld for the major presentations. I'm going to slip. Yeah. Steve.
It's my pleasure tonight to present certificates honoring a number of past presidents of the Society, or some of whom are here tonight, and also some of the people whom we call past greats. Were never presidents, but did an enormous amount of work for the Society. The first of these is, among the past presidents, is someone whom I have known since about day 3 after we arrived in Ottawa. We had been given their name by a mutual friend before we left South Africa, and we called Sid and Sarah Green. And we have known them ever since then, day 3. So the first of these certificates, honouring the support and the creation of the archives, is to M. Sidney Green for all the work that he has done and all the interest that he has shown to the Society over the years. Sid, I know you're here somewhere. Absolutely.
It doesn't matter as we go way back. Let's just say one thing, that when Lawrence's father, the late Michael, retired, where are you? Lawrence. sorry.
Take the mic, you know.
It's okay. I know I'm cutting into your time, and it'll just take a minute. That I came through this thing through the back door. Sarah was on the committee, and she insisted I go with her that night. Michael went away, and I wound up the president. So, thanks to you and your late dad.
Let's go take our picture.
All right.
This is yours. All those. The second of the presidents whom we plan to honour, unfortunately, is not here tonight, I believe, and that is Mr. Hugo Levenbell. Is he here by any chance? No. And the third is really a couple in the fact that Bert and Etta Karp worked so closely together in the work that they did for the Society. I would now like to ask Mrs. Karp to come up and receive this certificate.
You're trying to steal our thunder, right?
And we now come to the past greats whom we wish to honour this evening. And the first of these is a couple, again, Leon and Bertha Leckie, who for many, many years ran the Society's finances. Are they here? Oh.
Why not? Thank you very much.
A great pleasure.
Most unexpected.
But not unanticipated from our point of view, or unappreciated from our point of view for all the work
Thank
that you
you.
did over the years.
Thank you very much.
I want us around here now.
Oh, pictures, jeez.
And the last of the past greats whom we wish to honour tonight is Mr. Herbert Wortman, who for many years worked courageously, I think I have to say, in the office of the Society. Is Mr. Wortman here? He's not. Oh well, we'll see that this is taken to him. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This one has not taken very long. I'm very conscious of Gedalia being the timekeeper, and that concludes my part of the program this evening. Lawrence, I'll take these. I'll keep these.
I'm back for a short few minutes. One of the gentlemen who, needless to say, approved ourselves in going out to the community to raise funds was Jerry Levitz and his committee, who had to approve our objectives, goals, and desires, which he did in record time in or late in June of 1998. To Jerry, we thank you. From this evening or shortly thereafter, a new committee will take over the operation of the archives. It's called OJAC, Ottawa Jewish Archives Committee. The Ottawa Jewish Historical Society will name 5 people to this committee. The VOD will name 4, and the JCC will name 1. This evening, we're naming the 5 people who will participate on OJAC. Chairman which we are permitted to name with one of our 5 delegates, will be Marcus Hotz, Hai Kalof, Mel Goldberg, Gedalia Roosevelt, and myself, with Maury Koenig as an alternative. Those are our 5 nominees plus the alternative. It is now my indeed great pleasure to thank 2 gentlemen. I'd like Gedalia Rosenfeld on my right or left, I don't really care, and Maury Koenig. Where are you? Come on up, gentlemen. While they're approaching the podium, I must thank their dear wives, because I am known as an early riser, and I was able to break through at Maury at 8:30 in the morning and never Gedalia before 10 until Florence told me that 7 was permissible, so it started to be 7. But these gentlemen shared my trials and tribulations of the spring and summer of this year in the campaign. Gedalia, as I indicated in my introduction, has served as my guru and my mentor, and we thrived at each other's bickering, indecisions, fighting, but we always got to the common goal together. Maury was never had no in his vocabulary, and when we needed to put into effect an electronic system for the archives, he came forward in the summer of 1997, and what you will see later this evening as you view the archives, you will see the electronic display. So to 2 of these gentlemen who've served as my psychologist, psychiatrist, and father confessor this summer, I want to thank both of you. Both to you, Gedalia, thank you very much, and to you, Maury, thank you very much. We're coming into the wind-up, ladies and gentlemen. Maury, it's your honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can relax. I have no desire to give you any long dissertations other than what you've heard tonight. My job is to bring up the rear, if I can use that expression, to remind the people of what is ongoing from here on. The first is for you to take advantage of the beautiful display of old photographs, which are a small representation of what we have in the way of photographs in the archives. Second, we want you to tour the archives itself and have an opportunity to see the beautiful vault that we have, controlled vault, where we store our records. We're very proud of that, and I think you will be too when you see it. And next, and you've heard a lot of discussion this evening about it, it has to do with the scanning of the bulletins that will permit us to have an efficient and timely retrieval system. This is in the library area, and I would appreciate if you, each and every one of you, take the time out and have a briefing by our representative there, Mr. Granger. And the idea is that we have, as expressed previously, we have scanned 1 year's worth of bulletins. Now, any one of you can go there, and if you remember any event that took place in 1997, just name it, and within a fraction of a second, you'll see that information come up. I won't go into any more detail than that, and I thank you very much. Oh, yes, I've just been reminded. We're going to have food here shortly, and it's absolutely verboten for anybody to take food into the archives. Ah, yeah, okay. Got me all confused here. In the early part of the evening, Lawrence indicated that all the people who were named here, we would like them to go down to the gymnasium where we're going to have a group photograph taken immediately after we break up.
Ladies and gentlemen, this part of the evening is a surprise. But before I start the surprise, I would like to welcome aboard to the archival activity of the Ottawa Jewish Community Archives in the immediate future, the JCC, who will be on the board. Is Ron Gould here? Okay. There he is. Welcome aboard, sir. Jeff Gould. I'm sorry. I got it wrong. You got it wrong. We've had close cooperation with the library during the travails of its building and cooperating, and I must say that we didn't get into each other's hair too often. Okay. But I must express our thanks to Ruth Leviton and the librarians for their kind cooperation and forbearance with our deeds. Now comes the surprise. Is Ruth here? Hey, stand up and take a bow. I would ask all the members of the board of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society to come forward. Come on up. All the members of the board of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society that are here.
Where's Richard? I gave it to you.
It's travails, not travails.
Excuse me, I'll make an expression. As my friend Mel said, I said that travails, and it should be travails. Is that the idea? Thank you. Okay. There's more than that. Mel and I are always having discussions of whether English is pronounced correctly in Montreal or in Toronto, but it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as a representative of the board, and if you'll excuse me, as a representative of the general consensus in the community, we believe that much of the success for the immediate 5-6 past years and for the investment in time, energy, drive, emotion, support, leadership, and any other synonym that you think we can announce, we have to thank one person. This one person is following in the footsteps of his grandfather and his father. The Freedman family's contribution over time to the institutions and agencies of the Ottawa Jewish community are well known. The endowments given by Lawrence's grandfather have maintained many of the activities in the community. But I have to say that Lawrence's drive, his interest, his excitement about potential opportunities for archives and historical society activities in the city of Ottawa has been exceptional. That is the leadership that made the board of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society work and work and work. And Lawrence has one thing. If you change a word, you change the whole page. Thank God sometimes for computers. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to work. Lawrence accepted the challenge as chairman of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society, and along over time, he accepted the concept that we were coming to the 21st century. And he went out and examined various archives and looked at it, and speaking with Shirley and drawing on her experience and what he had learned, conceived some ideas which were startling to begin with, unattainable at the first blanch of light, if you want to put it that way, and so on, and I need not say more. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a dreamer to set a target, and it takes a dreamer to excite other people. When we went to the VOD and said we were going to go out and raise $150,000, the eyebrows were raised. They said, go ahead and do it, but don't expect to raise, some of them said, the $150,000. Lawrence said, we will do it. And I have to say this, the VOD has turned around and congratulated Lawrence and congratulated the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society for a job that they thought this community would not really support. So who do we have to thank? Two groups. One is the people in the community of Ottawa who have supported the archives, and to them we owe a vote of thanks. We have named some of our key donors, and they represent the historical aspects of the Jewish community of Ottawa, and they are supporting us as well, and to them we say thanks. But to the one man who really set the target, went out and canvassed, went out on a campaign, got up every morning and said, I'm on the street, quote, unquote, selling, peddling, doing everything else, calling, making appointments, first-time rejection, second-time rejection, third time a check for $2,000 or a promise of $5,000. To that man, we, as the board of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society, speaking on behalf of the community, would ask Mrs. Taylor to come forward and make a presentation. And while she's coming, Lawrence, our personal thanks to you and the community's thanks to you.
The Historical Society is schlepping a lot of nuffers this evening, the board. But the foundation is getting a lot more nuffers because we're the real winners. Lawrence, it is the foundation's pleasure to confirm that the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society wishes to recognize Lawrence Freedman for his outstanding leadership as president of the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society and his tremendous efforts during the 1998-1999 fundraising campaign to create the Ottawa Jewish Archives in the Joseph and Rose Ages family building by establishing an endowment fund in his honor. It is most appreciated that the Ottawa Jewish Historical Society wishes to honor Mr. Freedman through the Ottawa Jewish Community Foundation, because with the foundation there is a guarantee of the continuous and perpetual use of Mr. Freeman's name. Today and generations to come can appreciate the dedication he has shown for Ottawa's Jewish history. On behalf of the officers and members of the board of the Ottawa Jewish Community Foundation, please accept our sincere thanks and appreciation in remembering the tradition of tzedakah through the Ottawa Jewish Community Foundation. Lawrence.
Thank you, Steve. Lawrence, we also give you a certificate of award. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for being here tonight. I would like to say that we have about 175 people here this evening, which is one of the larger meetings, maybe a little bit more. Now, if I were to suggest to you the following, it may come as a surprise. If this meeting were to be held in Montreal, we would be looking at a population attending a meeting of some 1,500 people. That is the difference in the sizes and proportion of the Jewish community of Toronto and the Jewish community of Montreal. If we were in the city of Toronto, with its 170,000 people, we would be looking at close to 3,000 people attending tonight's meeting. I think when we see 175 or more people from the Ottawa Jewish community attending tonight's meeting, I thank you for your coming, for your appreciation, and for your attendance. We are most grateful and most happy. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you now to visit the historical paper legacy that you see in this room. Form your own groups. The archives are down when you come out of this room to the right. There'll be signs there guiding you. The bathroom is around the corner. Okay? And may we say thank you once again for this evening. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Here, thank you. This is yours. Thank you.
You didn't say a word about when we should go downstairs.
Yes, immediately.